Hey everyone, welcome back to another mining chamber video. In today's video, we are going to review the RTX 3080. So we finally were able to get our hands on one of them, and now we are finally going to review it. So we're going to talk about profitability, costs, as well as how much you should be paying for it, and what overclock settings you should be using on this GPU. We're also going to talk about the overheating issues and what you need to know about that problem as well. So let's go ahead and get into the video right after the intro. The RTX 3080, one of the best GPUs for mining out there now. It almost did replace the Radeon 7s for the new Crown King for hash rate, but the Radeon 7s did get a boost recently, which increased their hash rate by 10, so from 90 to 100 mega hash on a fairly good amount of wattage, which would be around 200 to 220 watts. So that leaves the RTX 3080 and the Radeon 7s very close to each other. I will be doing a video on the Radeon 7s on how to get that maximum efficiency very soon, but for now let's talk about the RTX 3080. So here we have the Asus TUF Gaming model of the RTX 3080, and it is a pretty nice model. It looks really nice. It has some RGB on it and it's a heavy card. It does come with 10 gigabytes of GDDR6, and of course it's a great card for gaming. So the RTX 3080 generally takes 2 8-pins to power up. Some models have 3 8-pins, which is a lot, just like the 3090s. So that means you will need a couple of splitters to be able to power a good rig of those cards. And they do consume a good amount of power, so usually around 200 to 220 watts for 100 mega hash, which we will cover later on in the overclock section. And the profitability on these cards as of the date of this video being posted is very good. So now let's talk about how much you should be paying for them and where can you buy them, that is if you are able to find them, and then we can talk about the profitability. So, availability. This part of the video is becoming really hard to do because these cards are very expensive right now. So as we can see, the MSRP is at $700, but we all know that these prices are nearly impossible. So the current price that you can find these cards for is way above MSRP. So as you can see, currently in eBay, it's selling around $2,200 for these RTX 3080s. And as you guessed it, on Amazon, they're nearly impossible to find. So on Amazon, you won't be able to find any RTX 3080s, and if you do, usually they're gone right away. At this point, you're honestly better off buying a full computer with an RTX 3080 than just buying the GPU itself. I'm joking guys, don't buy a full computer just to get the GPU out of it, only buy it if you're actually planning on using the computer. So now to buy the RTX 3080s, it's hard to find them anywhere like I mentioned, so you can try to look on eBay. If you're eager to buy one at these prices, then yes, you can go for it. And you can also find some on AAAwave.com. So you'll find them here for $2,300, which is pretty expensive as well. And then after taxes, it will be even more expensive. So as my personal opinion, I honestly would not buy it at this price. Like I mentioned before guys, it's a bit expensive. But if you are eager to start mining, or if you want one of these cards, then you can definitely go for it. Now I can't advise you financially, it's up to you to do what works best for you. Now if you plan on buying it from AAAwave.com, I do have a promo code for you guys to use, and it will be in the descriptions below. The promo code will give you $50 off, so you guys can feel free to use it and get $50 off. Now one thing I really want to highlight about buying these GPUs is to be careful of scammers. There are so many GPUs that are being sold for such a low price, and they're not the actual GPU itself. So for example, here you have the box being sold, and it's sold at $900. So if you would buy something like that and you don't read the title or description properly and you charge into buying it, you will hit a wall and eBay will not refund your money if it does state that it's a box. So please be careful and read the description, make sure you're buying the actual GPU and not just a box or a picture. There have been a lot of people doing it lately to hunt down bots, and they would just sell a picture, and eBay can't do anything about it because in the description it states that it's just a picture of the product. So please be careful and don't rush into buying them. Now if you're wondering where I got mine from, I did get them from nerdgears.com, so I did pay a premium on it as well, but it wasn't as bad as it used to be. So Nerdgears had them out for around $1,350, and also they are going to be getting some stock coming up in the next couple of weeks. I'm not sure if there will be any RTX 3000 series cards, but I highly recommend bookmarking nerdgears.com and checking them frequently for any new stocks. So now let's go ahead and talk about the different models for the RTX 3080s and the thermal throttling issue. So some brands of the RTX 3080s are really bad with the thermals for the memory that is due to having bad thermal pads. Now by some brands I do mean that most of the brands for RTX 3080s have that issue. I did talk with Red Panda Mining and I watched a couple of other YouTuber videos on RTX 3080s, and it seems like so far that the EVGA FTW3 and the Zotac Trinity are decent options, while the MSI Trio and the Gigabyte ones are not doing well at all with thermals. Now even I have the Asus Tufts and they're not doing well either, so they do thermal throttle, and this is even a bigger issue if you're planning on building a full rig of these GPUs. Now there are two ways you can get around this other than overclocking your cards properly and reducing your power limit. The first way is putting a bunch of fans around your GPUs. Push as much air as you can away from them to keep the heat away, and that will help you reduce your thermal throttles. So you can either get box fans or you can get 120mm fans and just put them all over the rig. Make sure you do proper airflow strategy so that you push the hot air out, and then from there you should hopefully have a better chance of not getting thermal throttles. Now the main solution to this, as some of the crypto mining channels did as well, is replace the actual thermal pads on your GPU. So you can grab the Thermal Grizzly thermal pads and then replace them for your GPU. The proper size for the thermal pads will be around 3mm, and then you can just replace them then. If I end up having to do that, I will end up making a video on that topic, so I will let you guys know in the upcoming video. Please check out Red Panda Mining and all these awesome cryptocurrency mining channels that covered this topic so you can get some more information regarding to the RTX 3080s. So now that we got the hard stuff out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about the fun stuff. How much money can you make with this card? So just a reminder, you guys will be able to find all this information on miningchamber.com, so profitability and everything like that. If you just open up this website, which will be in the descriptions below, it will take you to this article where you can find different information here. The profitability that shows in here will be up to date, so whenever you open this page up, you will have the accurate daily estimated earnings at any time you open this page. So if it shows right now $10.34 a day, it might not be the same when you're watching this video. This video is being recorded February 25th, 2021, so whenever you're watching it, you might be seeing different numbers. So now let's talk about how much money this will make. So with the overclocks that we're going to go over later on, we're going to be bringing around 98 megahash and we're going to be using 220 watts. Now these overclocks are just the base, you guys can fine tune them, but we will talk more about that later on. So with 98 megahash, we are bringing in every day $10.34, which is really good. And then the daily estimated coins is 0.0066 Ethereum. So a month, this card will make you give or take around $300 a month. So which means for your break even based on when you decide to buy this card and the profitability staying around the same range, you will be making your money back in around 7 months, and that is if you do buy it at $2,200. Now mind you that the profitability did drop a bit. When Ethereum price was $2,000 you would make more money, but now Ethereum is at $1,568, so the profitability can double or decrease, so it all depends on what happened with the crypto space. So now if we go ahead and go to whattomine.com and then we select 13080 here, we can then just fine tune the megahash here. So let's say 98 megahash and then 230 watts, and after that we can go ahead and hit calculate. So with the price of 10 cents per kilowatt hour, you will be making $9.87 without electricity and then $9.32 after electricity. So as you guys can see, the profits did vary a little bit from miningchamber.com, but it's all because all these variables do differ and every pool will have different variables and different block rewards that calculate into profits. So other than mining Ethereum, the RTX 3080 can also mine Conflux pretty well, so this would be one of the best options to mine after Ethereum goes away. Now Ethereum is not going to proof of stake anytime soon, but eventually it will change to proof of stake, and then from there you guys will have to pick another coin. So for future proof, RTX 3080 is not a bad choice at all. You still have multiple different coins that you can mine after Ethereum. And now that wraps it up for the profitability. So now that we covered the profitability, we can go ahead and move on to testing the GPU. So as usual, we're going to first run this GPU on Windows and we're going to run the stock settings, and then we're going to fine tune the overclock settings. But just remember to download the latest drivers for your GPU first, and then from there you can use whatever mining software you want. In this example, we're going to test it with Phoenix Miner using the stock overclocks. So let's go ahead and run the Phoenix Miner as an administrator, and then from there we can see how much power we're going to be using. So with the stock settings, we are getting around 87 megahash, and for the wattage we're drawing around 415 watts. That is a lot of power, so the GPU will definitely overheat like this, and that is why you should always avoid mining with stock settings. It's not good for your GPU, you'll burn it down. The least you could do is try to lower your power limit percentage, and then you should be safer. So now let's go ahead and turn off the miner, and then we can fine tune the GPU for our overclock settings, and then from there we can run it again. Now for the overclock settings, you guys will be able to find them as usual on miningchamber.com. So just scroll down in the GPU overview section, and if you find your card here, then you will find some settings in there. So for the 3080, we currently have these settings set in place. Now after the testing in this video, I might be changing some values. So after placing these settings, let's go ahead and run the miner again, and then we can see how more efficient I can set these settings to. So now after fine tuning the GPU for a while, I got it to 97 megahash, and the power draw off the wall is at 290 watts, which means we have 30 to 40 watts for the system and then the rest for the GPU, which leaves us at around 250 watts for just the GPU. Now I'm pretty sure you can tune this more and try to get 100 megahash out of it, but as of now I do think it's a good place to leave it at. So I will update the settings on the website to reflect the current settings that I have on, so that you can use it as a base and then you can fine tune it further if you'd like. Now one thing I want to highlight on the fan speed is that this GPU is not loud at all. It's fairly quiet, but if you do put it on 100%, it can be a bit loud. But since it's at 3080 and it does use a lot of power, and like I mentioned previously with the issue with the thermal pads, and then it might be thermal throttling, which means it's getting too hot and it has to reduce its performance due to its temperature. What I would suggest doing is pushing your fan speed as high as you can if you're having that issue, if you weren't able to change the thermal pads. So now we finished overclocking in Windows. Let's go ahead and run it in HiveOS, and then we can overclock it there as well. So for HiveOS, you first want to make sure that you are on the 455 drivers, and if you're not on them, then you want to just go to your SSH, and then when you're open with remote access, you want to run the NVIDIA driver updater command with 455. We did do this for the RTX 3070 video as well, so you in general you want to do this for any RTX 3000 series card. Now once you have that out of the way and your card is showing up properly, then you want to go ahead and overclock it. So for the settings, we're just going to copy over what we had in Windows, which would be -200 for core clock, and for the memory clock, since we had 950 in Windows, then here it will be the double, so we'll be doing 1900. Fan speed, I am going to be setting that at 70%, and then the power limit, I'm going to be doing that at 230 watts. So now when the overclock settings are kicked in, I'll go ahead and activate my flight sheet for mining. So now after the flight sheet kicked in, we can see here we're getting around 96.51 megahash, although I am going to try to reduce the power limit by 10, so it's at 220. And then we can see here if it crashes or not, and if it doesn't, then this would be a good number for it. Awesome, so now at these settings, so far it's running good. So you can go ahead and use these settings for your overclocks in HiveOS. You can fine tune them like I mentioned, or if it does crash on you and it's not stable here and you're getting rejected shares, then do try to reduce your memory clock by a bit and increase some power limit on it as well. So now that wraps it up for testing on the overclocks for Windows and HiveOS. Now we can go ahead and talk about the conclusion for this GPU. So, the conclusion. This card is a great card for mining. The RTX 3080 does 100 megahash at 230 watts. That's already a selling point for me. Now the only downside is that this card is extremely expensive to buy now, and they're nearly impossible to find them for MSRP. Now we can also say that there's a downside for the thermal throttling issue, and I agree. That can be very frustrating if you're buying these cards and then they end up thermal throttling all day and you don't get the full power for them. So if the two solutions don't work for you, you will be stuck in a bad spot. Now I personally let the addiction take the better part of me, and I did buy a couple more of these GPUs, but you guys will learn more about that in the next video. So that wraps up the video guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below and let me know what troubles have you came across with the 3080s so far. And if you did find the secret way to fix this thermal throttling issue, please let me know in the comments below. And also give me your opinions on what you think of this card so far. I've recently did a poll on what you guys think is the best RTX 3000 series cards, and honestly I'm very surprised from the results. It does vary a lot between everyone, and of course, as a lot of us were not able to get our hands on any RTX 3000 series cards. I do feel really bad making videos on these cards, but I hope these videos are helping you guys decide better on which card you should be getting next. Now thank you guys again, and if you enjoyed this video, please leave a thumbs up, and if you're new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I will be posting 2 videos a week, and a lot more guides are coming up very soon. So now that being said, I hope you guys have a wonderful day.